Hello and welcome to Your Schools. I'm your host, Lynn Turner Fitzgerald. Joining me today is Gordon Klasna. He is Executive Director of Secondary Education for School District 2. A big title and a big job.
It is.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
So, of course, in the summer, administrators really don't get to take the summer off because you're getting ready for the new year.
It's nonstop. Yeah, you're switching gears, wrapping up one year and getting ready for the next.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the secondary population roughly?
Between the middle school and the high school, it's going to be roughly 7,500 students. So roughly half, 7,500, 8,000, half the students in the Billings Public School population.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before we started the interview, we were talking about virtual learning,
Mm-hmm.
which came to be during the pandemic.
Yes.
Is that available still, or is it over?
No, it is still available to students. They need to go through their individual schools and talk with the administrators and counselors there to see if they qualify. We know that some students still have some medical reasons and things like that would keep them from being in the building. One little tweak we are going to do this year with that is we are going to ask that students, when they're doing end of unit tests and end of class tests, that they come in and do those in the building, being proctored by one of our educators in the district that way.
Okay.
Other than that, they can do all the other work up to that point at home.
Well, Gordon, how does that work? Is every classroom then on camera?
No, we use a program called Apex,
Mm-hmm.
and they go through that. We have what's called crosswalked it with our curriculum, and so the stuff that they're doing online through Apex meets up with what we're doing in our classes face to face, and meets the standards that we have set as prescribed by the state of Montana.
But those at-home students then would miss the lecture?
So all the lessons are built into the Apex program that we utilize.
Oh, I see.
And so there may be a reading that they have to do. Sometimes there's videos. It kind of depends on which class that they're taking.
Mm-hmm.
There's a variety of ways that it's delivered, but it's also self-paced. So really, a student, if they're motivated, they could knock out a class faster than in one semester. But really, we have some students that just because of health reasons and a few other things, that virtual learning is what's best for them still.
Okay. Does that also apply to the elementary levels?
The elementary, they utilize Apex for some stuff, but really for them, I think they prefer to have them in their schools as much as possible. That's a little, I focus more on the secondary, and so we'd have to ask the elementary executive directors. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So another exciting development, it's been here for some time though, is the dual credit.
Yes.
For high school,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we have both dual credit and AP advanced placement for our students that they can take while they're in high school, and then will then transfer over to colleges. We encourage students that are looking to go out of state to look at the AP track. A lot of our out of state schools, they may not take a math class that they took through the Montana University system in dual credit. They may not take it as a math class for them. It might count as an elective credit in the college realm.
Okay.
Sometimes, if they're going out of state, say they're going to Boise State, they prefer to have their teachers teaching them math or science or whatever. In state, those courses are a lot more likely to be transferred. We do most of ours through MSUB here in town,
Right.
and within the Montana University system. But it's a great way for students to get a start and have to take less classes in college.
Sure.
And some of our students don't think they're capable of doing college work, and they get in and they find out that they can,
Right.
and that could still be a pathway for them when they go to college.
Well, and think of the savings, the financial savings.
Oh, absolutely. It's a big savings.
Well, can you help me visualize this? I'm trying to figure out, so a student here wants to go to Boise State, so they're going to do an AP class.
Sure.
Who's teaching them, and where is that teacher?
It's our teachers. They're doing it.
Okay.
They use the advanced placement curriculum, which is certified by the College Board, who also oversees ACT. And it's a nationally recognized program. And so if they're taking AP Chemistry in Billings, it's the same thing as AP Chemistry in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And so it's being utilized across the country.
So every student in that class is an AP student.
Yep.
So everyone's getting the same
Yeah,
lesson.
and then they can choose if they want to take the AP test to try and get the college credit
Okay.
that way as well.
Okay. And then in terms of transferring these over to, let's say, an out-of-state college, what is that process like?
So that's something that the students need to look at with whatever college that they're going to and see what score they have to have. There's scores of 0 through 5. In some states, some schools will take a 3 for credit, some will take a 4, some want a 5. And so that it's really important for students that are looking at that pathway and where they want to go to college. They really need to be in communication with those schools to see what the requirements are for them.
Okay, so this can begin as a freshman. You can begin this as a freshman.
If you're in one of our new charter schools, the Billings Early College School, otherwise you need to wait till you're at least your sophomore, if not your junior year, for the dual credit and AP classes.
I see.
Yep.
But when should you start preparing for that?
When you're registering for classes in middle school as an 8th grader, it's good to, if you know what you want to do and have a pathway set, it's good to plan out not only that first year of high school, but your sophomore, junior, and your senior year as well, and have that pathway laid out so you know what you need to do in order to get all the classes that you want to have in order to achieve your goal of what you want to do in the future.
Right. So students then are assisted by faculty in determining their class schedule or their choices?
Correct. Our guidance counselors help students register for classes not only in the high schools but also in the middle schools. So if you're a student at Lewis and Clark, when it comes time to register, you may have counselors from both West High as well as Senior High, depending on what school you're going to go to help you choose your classes and guide you on the pathway that you should go.
All right. Well, let's talk about these charter schools. You have the Opportunity School, the Early College School, and then the Multilingual Academy. Now that's also, the last one is also for elementary, is that correct?
No, middle school.
Just
high
middle,
school. Yep.
middle and high school?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Start off with the Opportunity School. What is that?
You bet. So a number of years ago, we used to have an alternative school, Crossroads, and that went away for various reasons. And so we know that not all students learn in the typical high school setting and that they struggle. Maybe they need to do things at a little different pace or look at a different way of earning their high school diploma, but still meeting the high school standards. And so when the state allowed us to have charter schools, one of the ones I felt really strongly about that we needed was to have an opportunity school model. And initially it was alternative school, but this is really an opportunity for students to still earn their high school diploma. That's where the opportunity name came from. And so students will be attending the Billings Opportunity School, and they'll be working on a proficiency model rather than the normal. You have to have so many hours in a seat to earn your credit. And so if a student can meet all the standards in 3 months and get that credit for that class, and they can move on to the next one. But we're also going to base things around technology in the Opportunity School. And so doing project-based and proficiency-based learning. So you're going to be in a block in the morning, kind of a technology block, and so you're going to work on math, science, and a technology class, and tying them together in projects to meet the standards in those different areas and to earn that credit.
All right, you're losing me.
You
Explain
bet.
that to me. What would it look like?
So how does, if you're coding a computer,
okay.
What's the science behind that? What's the math behind it? There's a lot of math behind coding. And then you can also tie that into, say you're working coding a robot to do something, doing some robotics and stuff to do a certain task. Again, what's the math? How are you going to use that for science? And tying it all together that way.
Wow.
So that's the one thing. And then what we're going to call our humanities block, again, looking at either business or technology, but then also tied into students' social studies requirements as well as their English requirements. And so working on that pathway also. And so tying things together, we've had a great staff, and they're working on what their classes are going to look like to blend them all together so students can have big projects that will allow them to earn credit by doing projects tying all those together.
So this fall is the very beginning.
Correct. Yep. This will be the first year of the public charter schools in Montana. There are 19 approved across the state. 17 are going to start this year, 3 of which are in Billings, one of which is the Billings Opportunity School that we're currently talking about.
Well, how would a student enroll in that?
You bet. So we've had our counselors in both the middle school and high school working with students through the spring and up through now. and then also to give us suggestions of students who they think should be there. And now students can go to our website. They can click on our schools, and it'll say public charter schools, and then option will come up for the opportunity school, and there's a link there that they can fill out if they're interested in attending, and we can help them get started on that pathway. And that's open 9 through 12. Kids can attend that.
Okay. And what is the physical location?
It'll be the Washington Innovation Center,
Okay.
which is formerly Washington Elementary.
Right, okay. Now, early college. This is in the same building,
yep, the
right?
Yep, the Billings Early College School will also be in that same building. That will be open only to freshmen this year because it's a 4-year pathway. Our goal is that students will take 2 years of classes at both the Billings Early College School and then what would have been their home high school of West Senior or Skyview.
Okay.
And then their junior, senior year, they're on a college campus taking all college classes, dual credit classes, and working towards not only their high school diploma, but also their associate's degree as well. And I had mentioned earlier, the only way that freshmen can take dual credit classes is through the Billings the Billings Early College School. Those students will be taking at least 1, if not 2, dual credit classes this year, 1 each semester.
As a freshman?
As a freshman, yep.
As a freshman. How would a student know already what they want to do? It takes people a long time.
It does. I mean, I was 40 years old still thinking, am I in the right pathway?
I hear that all the time.
So, if anything, say a student doesn't know for sure what they want to do.
Yeah.
At least work towards that associate's degree, because that's going to help maybe open some other doors for them. And as they go through high school, they may realize, hey, this is the pathway I want to go. But if you've got 2 years of college under your belt already that you've had little or no payment for, that's just going to give you a leg up. And then being able to start with only 2 more years of school and graduate possibly with a bachelor's degree 2 years after you graduate from high school, what a great opportunity for our students.
For sure. So you said the last 2 years, these students will actually be on college campus.
Yep. That's our plan on.
So it would be MSU Billings?
So we have an agreement that we're working on with MSUB. We're also talking with Rocky Mountain College as well. And also, when we say MSUB, it could be up on their big campus, or it could also be over at City College, doing something through them as well. And because there's a lot of great 2-year programs that a student can get a great associate's degree and be able to take care of their family going forward and support a family with that 2-year degree.
Yeah, so would that be more of a trade?
Yeah, probably be more of a trade vocational for the most part.
Okay, so we have about 1.5 minutes left, but explain the difference between the Career Center and these other opportunities.
So the Career Center is focused on career technical education where students can get their foot in the door with manufacturing. So maybe they're welding, learning how to use a plasma cutter. Maybe they're out working on the house, working alongside the Home Builders Association and building the house that we use, or they're interested in culinary. They can go through courses in culinary. Early child development, we have classes out there as well that kids can take out there also to get their foot in the door and see if that's something that they're interested in.
Okay, so if people have questions, just log on to School District 2's website.
Yep, and we have links in both the Opportunity School and the Early College School as well. And if people are interested in the Multilingual Academy, I know we have quite a few people that are coming in that are not native English speakers. We're working with those students as well, housing them here at the Lincoln Center this year to help them earn their high school diploma as well.
Very good. Well, Gordon, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I learned a lot.
Right.
And we'll be back and talk about the elementary education preparation right up next. Welcome back to Your Schools. Kyra Gaskill joins us now. Kyra is the Executive Director of Elementary Education for School District 2 and is taking some time away from her time off to be here. So thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm happy to be here.
Very much. Now, how long have you been in this position?
So I just completed my first full year as Executive Director of Elementary Education. Before that, for 21 years, I was an elementary principal.
Okay, so you know your way around.
I
It's
do.
really not your first rodeo.
It's not my first
No,
rodeo. It was
not
a
at all.
steep learning curve this year, but it was great.
Well, it must be a very different kind of responsibility.
It is being responsible for your own building and what goes on in your own building compared to what goes on in an entire district the size of ours with 22 elementary schools. is a big job. A great job, but a big job.
Yeah, okay. Well, you survived the first year.
I did.
Looking forward to year number 2?
I am.
Okay,
I'm
well, let's
here.
talk about year number 2. Tell me about Kinder Ready. This is a new program in the district, right?
It is. This is a new program that is to benefit students who are 4 years old, early literacy, who in some capacity are lacking some of the skills that they're saying at 4 years old you should have. And it will be a program based on early literacy. It will be a morning session or an afternoon session, about 3 hours, between 2 hours and 45 minutes and 3 hours. Every day they will follow the same schedule as Billings Public Schools K-5 students or K-12 students. So it's the first of the kind in Billings, Montana.
Right.
And so we're really looking forward to getting those students in there, actually, and their parents as well, letting both of them know, you know, what are the essential things that need to happen to become literate. And we're really looking forward to that.
Well, how do you determine if a child needs this service?
So there's a screening that we have been doing since early spring. Parents could sign up to have their children screened, and if they showed any risk at all in some of the components of literacy, in the areas of literacy, then they were able to qualify. If they weren't screened, but they have possibly, they're an English language learner student, American Indian student, a student of poverty, some other criteria, they automatically are qualified for that program.
Oh, okay. And you say it's every day? These 4-year-olds are there every day?
Yes, the 4-year-olds are there every day for a half of a day. And those programs this year are going to be at Orchard Elementary, Bench Elementary, and McKinley Elementary.
Okay. So students can live anywhere in the district and
Correct.
attend? Okay, so you don't have to
Yes.
live in that. Okay.
Yes, that's an important piece, is there are students from all over the district that are able to qualify under the certain criteria to attend those schools, even if those schools are not their home school.
There's so much preparation, it seems. I mean, I'm looking at the changes in the district. This is one. The other is the dual credit situation where we're getting these students ready and through their first 2 years of college.
Correct.
That's very progressive.
Yes, and it's amazing that we're able to impact K-12.
Yeah.
So like that whole spectrum of our very youngest learners, and then also our students who are getting ready to move on to college, career, or possible military opportunities.
Is there still an opportunity for students to get into the Kinder Ready program?
Yes, there absolutely is. There is still the possibility. There is a link online
Okay.
on our Billings Public Schools webpage that they are able to apply for that, and then we're still checking that regularly and accepting students until there's no more room, but right now there is still room.
Okay. All right. So if a student is new to School District 2 and
Yes.
say they're kindergarten, first grade, whatever, anything under your purview, which goes through grade 5,
Correct.
right? What is it? What requirements are there for enrollment?
Sure. So if we're having a student who is new to Billings Public Schools, the first thing that they can do, they can go online to look if their school is not open, because the actual school buildings, most of them are not open until August 12th.
Okay.
Is when the secretary is back and when they can start enrollment. However, you can start the pieces of enrollment online, and there's 3 things that you're going to need to do to become enrolled in Billings Public Schools. You'll need to have a proof of address, you'll need to have your immunizations, shot records, and also that online application filled out, and 4 things, and your birth certificate.
Oh, okay. All right. And you bring those to the physical building?
You absolutely bring those to the physical building. You can start your online process, and then the secretary, when they return, will reach out to them and let them know. There will be an opportunity, and all this information is on our website. Starting next week, if somebody doesn't want to wait until August 12th, we will have some different sites available for certain parts of a day that they could go, even though it's not their home school, to get help with registration, to turn in all their paperwork, to have it all looked over.
Right. Billings is growing by leaps and bounds, it seems. Is that stretching the resources of School District 2?
You know, we've done a really good job of, in elementary, making sure that we have enough staffing. What we are seeing much less of a pool when we are trying to hire for jobs. We used to have hundreds of applicants for positions, and when we did hiring in the spring, we maybe had like 30, where we used to have to like weed through, hundreds of applications. So a lot of the teacher programs at the universities are closing down. A lot of people are not wanting to go into education. And so we're lucky in Billings because we're the largest city, so we have a lot more people to choose from as opposed to some of the rural areas. So we have done a really good job of still hiring really quality staff. People are coming and going in a district this size due to maternity leaves or transferring. So we're always hiring, but right now we are pretty solid on all of our staffing.
Well, what's behind the lack of desire to go into education?
I think that what I hear when I talk to young people and I question them, like, well, have you thought about education? The pay. It used to be people would be like, well, you get the summer off, and we spend our summers training, going to conferences. We have mandatory trainings. Most people work in the summer as well. I know when I was a teacher, I still taught all summer long, took classes, taught, so I didn't really ever have a break. There is a lot of unexpected and difficult student behavior that we're seeing a lot of students coming in with trauma, and that results in some pretty aggressive behaviors towards staff, and I think that's scaring a lot of people away.
Do you see a trend turning? Do you see this getting better? Or I guess the question is, how can it turn around?
Right. I don't know that it's getting better. What we can do together is work together with teams. We really need the community support. There's a lot of mental health issues with young kids, and we do not have enough resources, and Billings Public Schools cannot be the sole people who are taking on all of that. It is really a community concern and issue, and we need community support. There are not a lot of mental health workers outside of the district. A lot of students need therapy, they need medical treatment. So we really as a community need to get together like as a task force and say, what can we do together as a community to meet the needs, and how do we support a parent?
Well, has the training aspect changed in terms of dealing with a mental health crisis or episode for someone in a teaching position? Right,
so we're doing a new program called Akuru, which is trying to de-escalate students who are, highly escalated in their behavior without touching them. Our goal is to never harm a student and not want to have to be hands-on with them. Right. It's not always possible because sometimes they're hurting themselves or other people. Right. So we are offering that and trying to do all kinds of trainings for staff that we never did when I was, a teacher, or even when the early years of being a principal, especially at such an early age of kindergartners coming in, with a lot of trauma and a lot of severe behavior. So yes, we are changing what we do offer. I was telling a parent the other day, I said, when we go to school to be teachers, we learn pedagogy, which is how to teach. We learn our content, and we learn how to be instructors, how to manage classrooms. We have never had to learn how to properly deal with a student who is being physically violent and aggressive, and how do you protect the other students. That's not why people go into teaching. No. They love teaching, they love learning, they love kids. And so I think that is the reason why a lot of people are not going into education.
I met one school resource officer who has a comfort dog. And for situations like that, he said it just de-escalates right away when a child touches this dog.
Right.
So that's pretty unique.
Yes.
And I think that's great. Okay, so we have just a couple of minutes left. I wanted to ask you about the Reading and Math Task Force.
Yes.
This is training for teachers?
So the Reading and Math Task Force was something that was teacher-led. It was our superintendent, Dr. Garcia, had said, I would like to see some type of framework of what does reading and math look like in Billings Public Schools based on research, best practices. What does that look like? So we had groups of amazing teachers, our coaches, our reading coaches, our math coach, get together and come up with what does reading look like in Billings Public Schools and what does math look like based on research. There's videos that go along with that, and every teacher will be trained, this is elementary, in both the reading and the math. So we are all being very strategic on what is best practices, how do you teach math, how do you teach reading, what does it look like, and then also offering support with coaching in those schools to help those teachers that maybe even with that task force haven't had all of that learning that everybody else has. And we're really hoping to see something come out of that, that once we're all together on that clarity piece of what does it look like, and here are the resources, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we can support you, that teaching and learning will be improved.
I know when Dr. Garcia first came here, he was kind of alarmed at the low scores.
Yes.
And so this sounds like a path to improve those.
Yes.
Okay.
It is a path to improve it.
But now elementary had a pretty good year.
We did.
Last year.
17 out of 22 of our elementary schools in both reading and math showed, met our growth goals in proficiency, which was a 3% or better.
Wow.
And so 17 of the 22 did. Several others were close, but it wasn't that 3%. So of course our goal is that all students make their proficiency growth or their expected growth every year. And so that is why we're not stopping. You know, it's just everything that we're doing every day is how can we improve teaching and learning, which obviously go hand in hand. We have amazing teachers in Billings Public Schools, and the more that we can support them with all of these, all these resources and trainings, then they will positively impact our students.
Absolutely. Well, we have run out of time, Kyra. I want to thank you for being here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
And have a fabulous 2024-25 school year.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you for joining us on Your Schools. We'll see you next time.